All right, welcome everybody. We are live for the next episode of the Restoration Success Show, and today we have Carlos from DRYmedic. How's it going, Carlos?
Doing well, Jamie. Thank you for having me. Excited to be on your show here.
Yeah, not a problem at all. I'm excited to get into this. So for any of our listeners that haven't heard of you or DRYmedic yet, can you kind of just give us a brief little synopsis of maybe how you got into restoration and kind of how DRYmedic got its start?
Absolutely. Thank you, Jamie. Have historically been in construction, real estate, franchising through my career. Had a kind of a reset in the 2008, 2009 crash and recession. Was living in Florida at the time and decided to go back to my roots and move back to Michigan. So was searching for, different business concepts to get into, dip my hands into a couple different things. And then a friend of mine who ran a very successful restoration franchise in Canada called me up and said, Carlos, you would really love this industry. It's right in your wheelhouse. You understand, insurance, you understand construction, you understand customer service and home service businesses. And with your contacts, this could be a great business for you. So we jumped in the car, drove over to Toronto, spent a couple days there with one of their franchisees who was related to one of the franchisors. And I remember walking into a home that they were working on, and they were breaking up this beautiful hardwood floor. And I'm like, guys, there's nothing wrong with this floor. What are you doing? And he says, well, there was a leak over here by the sink, and the floor matches this area and it's all continuous. So the insurance company pays us to take the entire floor out, and of course pays us to put the entire floor back in. So I'm standing there smelling fresh oak, you're breaking it apart. It's a wonderful smell if any of you have ever smelled it. And he says to me, how much do you think I charge for this job? So I guessed X, and then he said Y. And the difference between those two numbers was pretty significant because as you work through the insurance industry, there's so much regulation on what you have to do to document things properly. And the administrative side of processing insurance claims as a contractor is heavier. So what ends up taking place is that you have a little bit more cost, but you're able to create consistent margins and able to bill an insurance company, which further guarantees that you're going to get paid if you take the appropriate steps to confirm that there's coverage and go through and follow a process to ensure that that payment's being made to your business. So kind of fell in love with the business at that point, came back home, started talking to a couple friends that I've done business with historically and getting kind of my thoughts together. And about a year later, DRYmedic Restoration was born. We started the company from the ground up. So we bought the domain DRYmedic.com, bought DRYmedicFranchise.com at that time because we, again, had some franchise experience and decided that we wanted to create a business that really provided a white glove service for our clients and the people that were calling us. And we saw some gaps in the industry where there was a little bit of sloppiness going on with different contractors that we've come across through our due diligence and things of that nature. So put a rock star team together in late 2013, started the company in 2014 in January, almost immediately started receiving work from digital advertising, third-party lead generators, word of mouth, contacts that we have, networking, things of that nature, and really kind of got our feet wet, figured out, how do we navigate through this business? How do we navigate through claims? How do we provide a five-star experience for our clients? Kind of moving forward, that same year in 2014, there was a catastrophic event that took place here in Southeast Michigan that affected about 15 to 20,000 homes. The sewer system pump for the entire area went down and had a catastrophic failure. So
Oh
every
man.
single basement, 15 to 20,000 basements filled with sewage backups. And it was like Armageddon. Everybody needed help. There was only so many contractors in the area. We were busier than we could ever believe, hundreds of people on a waiting list, calling multiple people, just trying to get somebody out to their home. So we're very disciplined during that time. We used that CAT event to not only rent equipment to help those clients, because there was far more equipment needed than we had owned at that time. But we also had a lot of discipline on buying new vehicles and purchasing some additional equipment while balancing that with the rental side. So that really gave us a huge acceleration in our first year. We were able to do a bunch of post offices. We were able to do a very large motorcycle dealership in the area, a ton of residential work, and really got ourselves into the commercial side of the work. Following that, in January of 2015, we had a polar vortex come through the north, and it was like -40 degrees, and pipes were popping in every direction here in Michigan.
Jeez.
So we kind of had some really good luck in our first 12 months, took advantage of 2 huge events, and like I said, really had that discipline to purchase more equipment, scale the business, put more processes in place, and really take those next steps.
Yeah. Well, kudos to you for, because we have that conversation with a lot of our clients is, you know, whenever a weather event or a sewage event, I mean, whatever kind of event happens, like it's extremely taxing on the company, the crews. I mean, yeah, you don't have enough equipment. But kind of like you guys did, we say, I mean, I know it's going to be stressful and it's going to be a lot going on, but you kind of have to get it while the getting's good. The people need help.
That's
So you
exactly
might
right.
as well, like, I mean, somebody's going to help them. So you might as well be the one, right? So, I mean, you guys definitely capitalized on those
Yeah.
opportunities. What, so you touched on this a little bit, but like, so outside of big weather events, is there, I love to say success leaves clues, right? So obviously you have franchisees all across the country. Like, is there any like patterns or like things that you notice some of the people like with, exponential growth? Like, are there a few commonalities that you kind of notice that, you can share for our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go back to really the inception of DRYmedic and the mentality that we had that has carried through to our franchisees within our network currently. We kept that same type of discipline when it came to marketing and never took our foot off the pedal. So what would happen is, in between these weather events, naturally things would slow down. You'd have a couple dry weeks. And what we've seen in the industry is that people get a little bit gun shy when they see, money flowing through Google and they're not getting the amount of leads that they have. The mentality we had at that point, and mostly directed by me with many decades of marketing experience prior to, was like, okay, when all these people are scared because leads are costing more and they're not getting the volume, we don't back off, we actually double up, right? So we had this mentality where we would go and spend more money when things were slow and put more dollars at risk to get those jobs, to keep our staff and our payroll and our revenue flowing through the doors. And that really, really helped us, Jamie, that mentality of, keep your foot on the pedal, continue to market your business. You're going to find an ROI over a 3-month, 6-month, and 12-month period, historically, and the majority of businesses. So I think people get a little bit discouraged when they start to see things slow down and they feel like they're wasting money. So they back off their spends or they back off their budgets. But what you're actually doing is you're hurting yourself in the long term by doing that. So that mentality that we had has, again, carried over into our franchise network, and it's relentless marketing, being able to continue to spend money with your lead generators with Google, knowing that your competitors are probably a little bit scared when things slow down. I always like to give the analogy that, there's a bunch of restoration contractors standing around a lake, and the lake represents a busy time, plenty of fish in a lake. When things slow down, all those same contractors are now fishing in a pond, right? So there's way more competition to be able to do that. So if you've got the right lures and the right bait and the patience, you're going to catch fish, right? So a lot of guys, when they see, 40 or 50 people around them doing these things and backing off, they're naturally going to do that. But if you stay there and you hold through it, you're going to win in the long run. So my advice would be to absolutely never let up from a marketing standpoint. That goes for grassroots marketing, digital marketing, and any type of relationship marketing that you're doing. You have to just keep your foot on the pedal at all times. And over time, you will get a return on your investment.
Yeah. No, well, yeah, I agree 10,000%. And I think, because you even mentioned this, like I always say this, there's ebbs and flows on leads and jobs in this
Absolutely.
industry, in all markets.
Absolutely.
And the worst thing, because we have to, and again, not everybody, but we have to talk to a lot of our clients about this too. It's a lot of, and I've even had to shift my mindset over the years about this, like versus when I started to now, but like it's almost like you can't play timid and scared. Like you have to think long term. And you even mentioned this, it could take 6 to 12 months. And that's probably why you guys have crushed it, because once you already know that, you quit looking at it all day by day, and it compounds over time. And once you get the ship moving, it can be extremely powerful. And it'll still ebb and flow, but that's just the game. It's just I mean, and then especially if you do recon, like some of these jobs we see our guys get, I mean, multiple 6-figure. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, you've been panicking for 3 weeks. The $150,000 job just came in. They're like, all right, now you can breathe a little bit. But some people pull the plug after, only a handful of time. And it's like, dude, they're out there. You just have to. And again, there's optimizations and tweaks that have to be made consistently, right? From marketing and sales, right? Like it's none of it is a set it and forget it, right? Like marketing can be popping off, and then maybe your sales is dipped or whatever, right? Like we've seen that. And then like if you dive deeper, maybe somebody's having some issues in their personal life and it's affecting the closing rate. Like we've seen that. I mean, so you gotta like sometimes zoom out and see the bigger picture. What because I heard you mention this as well, and I love bringing this up because even with our clients, like we specialize and do the online marketing. We also, to your point, we always have conversations though, like really it'd be the online and the offline and never stop either is really what we would advise. So when you said relationship marketing, does this do you guys have like a playbook that you kind of roll out to your franchisees, or do you tweak it based on the market? Because sometimes I hear, oh man, I love plumbers. Oh, I hate plumbers. You know what I mean? Like I hear, and again, it just, they all can work. Based on my experience, they all can work if you work it, right?
Absolutely.
What's your, so what are your, like, yeah, do you guys, like, how do you guys have that conversation with your franchisees when it comes to referral partners and relationship marketing?
Yeah, so we definitely have a playbook, different strategies to attract, lead generation sources and referral sources for the business. It's all the stuff that you mentioned and everybody else, right? People that see the type of jobs that, restoration companies provide service for. I'd say about 80% of the foundation is pretty consistent with the 25 or so states that we're in right now. I think the 20% where you find some inconsistencies are really just, different weather patterns, right? You're not going to see freezing in a lot of parts of the country, right? So the tactics there are different when you're approaching, different types of trades and people that can refer business over to you. But generally speaking, it's all of those same type of lead referral sources that we've consistently seen, in the market here, and the process to earn their business. And at the end of the day, one of the things that I like to remind any business owner of, and this is regardless of whether you're in the restoration industry or any other type of, service business, specifically home service, the client is calling you. They're not necessarily calling DRYmedic as an example. They're calling Carlos for the job because you built a relationship with them. They're also calling DRYmedic. They're also calling, whoever else is involved on your team. But at the end of the day, it's the rapport that you build with that referral source. As a small business owner, whether it be, your marketing and sales team, or a combination of you and your marketing and sales team, building those relationships, the little trinkets, handing out the flashlights to the plumbers, little gifts here and there, obviously paying them their referral fees timely. In a lot of cases, we would pay them on the spot, right? We would not make plumbers wait to get paid. So there's a formula there for sure to find a greater level of success, but it all comes down to your ability to build a relationship and put in real time with people where you earn their trust and they're willing to give you an opportunity. Then from that point, when you have the opportunity, don't screw it up. Do a really good job. Make sure that it's a 5-star experience for the client and the vendor. The worst thing you can do is make somebody look bad when they refer a job over to you. That is like business suicide. So you got to treat the clients that come from your referral sources like every client should be treated, with a 5-star experience, very thorough, very communicative, and have them thank that referral source. And I can promise you, when you are able to accomplish that, because you've built a relationship to get that first opportunity, it's going to lead to more jobs coming from that referral source.
Yeah, no, I agree 10,000%. And some of it, you can probably relate to this because I come from the construction industry as well. And, I'm even managing a few projects on the side right now, just other things, but it's unbelievable. And again, this is, I think, home services in general. I mean, the lack of just follow up and communication, just that alone, like not even the work part, but like, I'm like,
Correct.
man, I'm like, it would be so easy just to like, if you updated the customer before they asked for an update, like little things add up though. And like, and I'm always like watching too and paying attention how they handle it. And I'm just like, man, the bar, it's so, I feel like it's pretty low, unfortunately. But what I mean? It's exciting because anybody listening or anybody like, the little things can kind of add up to give that 5-star experience, and people will remember it, right? There's a saying, right? People remember how you make them feel, and like, do you actually care about doing the good work, or are you just trying to like turn and burn and get in and out? Like, I mean, it's just interesting to me sometimes.
Absolutely.
What so when it comes to referral partners, I mean, do you typically have them like, because we have some people that focus on plumbers, some adjusters, insurance companies, property managers can be a hidden, gold mine we've seen. Is there like any that you guys have seen kind of work better than others, or just kind of depends on the market, or what's your thoughts on that?
It's the same mentality as what we talked about, with the digital marketing side and keeping your foot on the pedal. You got to talk to anybody and everybody you come across. I'll be at a gas station when we were running the business, and I was, helping provide leads for the business and going through the day to day. And I would see, construction workers coming in to get, snacks and food, and in a lot of cases, cigarettes. A lot of people in the construction industry tend to smoke. So they're getting their stuff for the day, and I'd sit and chit chat with them. And, all these people know somebody. They all know a roofer. They all know a plumber. They all know an appliance repair specialist. They may know property managers. It's really hitting everybody. And sure, Jamie, there are different lead generation sources that you're going to prioritize, plumbers being one of them, property managers being another one on the top of a short list that you're going to pay a little more attention to. But you've really got to create relationships with everybody that you come across. And when you're able to do that, things spread like wildfire. So it's really always marketing. Everywhere you go, everywhere you stop, handing out cards, which in today's world, business cards are kind of a thing of the past, but you can, click your iPhone twice and send your contact information over. And with the technology that's out there today, it's really easy to exchange contact information from people. It's about not being shy, right? I probably have about 5,000 contacts in my phone over the years, and I probably could have had another 3,000 that I didn't even program. But it's constantly building relationships, making relationships with people, and keeping in touch with them, whether it be seeing them, out and about, or sending a message once in a while, or, whether it's a holiday and you're saying, Merry Christmas or Happy Thanksgiving, or whatever the case could be. It's really those small touches, and having people keep you top of mind is really important. Once you get that contact and you program them in your phone and you send that initial message, let's say it's a plumber as an example. Hey, we can pay your referral fee. We do a great job. Give me a call when you see something. Like, that's not going to get the job done at the end of the day. It's the follow-up. It's the building the relationships and the constant touching and training, quite frankly, because a lot of people have a big misconceptions that, if I met a plumber or I met a roofer, and I'm just saying to them, hey, if you see water damage, give me a call, right? What does that really mean, Jamie? Water damage is left for
To
interpretation.
what? Yeah.
Right. Well, like what is it? So we would do things like invite them out to our jobs, show them what to look for. And then we started to see an increase in calls from plumbers and roofers because roofers started knowing how to identify mold in attics, right? And a customer didn't want all their, plywood replaced, decking replaced on the roof. They wanted to get it treated. And now that roofer is identifying mold for you because he's been trained. Same thing with the plumber. You've got to train the plumbers how to speak to the client, how to represent who you are and what you bring to the table for them. It's for their own protection. How to identify where there actually is water damage. Is it seepage? Is it from a pipe? Is it from a drain backup? What is it from? So, having those types of conversations and processes and structure to train these people, you're creating value for them because you're teaching them something. You're teaching them a new skill, and you're teaching them to benefit them, which indirectly benefits you in reverse.
Yeah, I heard somebody say one time too, it's like, if you go into it with the mindset of like, yeah, how can I add value to them, or how can I make part of their life easier, or educate them on this? And that's all
Absolutely.
you do. Then they'll, it'll help them out. And then, whenever said issue happens, they're like, man, you know what? I remember that guy educate, it kind of comes full circle.
It does. That's the perfect word for it.
Yeah. And you mentioned a good thing. And I was just reminded of this the other day, because just talking to people and then just letting them know what you do is kind of because in our industry it can be a little tricky, right? A lot of it is emergency
Yeah.
based. Like, not everybody's house is on fire right now or flooding. But it's just having conversations, because again, like I said, this happened to me the other day. I'm like, hey, this is that, and then it might not be them, but they'd be like, hey, you know what? My neighbor was just saying they think they got mold all up in their attic. Man, let me connect you guys right now. And then boom,
That's,
right there, you get the number. Hey, Joe told me to reach out. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of getting it out there, having the conversations, and you never know where that will lead, right?
absolutely.
And then one
Absolutely.
referral could lead to another referral, and then yeah, I
It's
think
it's like it's like a spider web of referrals because everybody knows somebody and everybody has an insurance agent. Anybody that lives in an apartment or a condo has a property manager, and there's just so many connections to exploit from each client or each person that you run across. And you've just got to know how to ask the right questions and identify, can this person help me add value to my business, and can I add value to them by providing a great experience? That's the key. When you're focused too much on the financial side, we'll take a plumber as an example. Obviously, very common knowledge in our business and our industry. But when you go to the plumbers and you're just focused on how much they want for a referral fee, you're not really starting the relationship off in a positive way, because a lot of people, believe it or not, are not motivated by money. I know that's a little cliche, but it's very true. At the end of the day, they want a relationship. They want somebody who's going to treat their client properly. The money follows that, right? So it's really selling yourself, selling the service that you provide, and the fact that you're going to make them look really good. And then you talk about how much they're going to get paid, right? So I really, if I could give any advice, in closing on that topic, it would be focus on the relationship, not the money.
Yeah. And I think, I agree. And I think, any of us that work in construction or work on, like, so yeah, sometimes like on a stressful job, this, that, like you can kind of lose sight of it. And I think we all have to remind ourselves sometimes, hey, at the end of the day, my job is to take care of the customer. And I
Sure.
think that, and to your point, that, that kind of typically comes full circle at some point too, right? What goes around comes around. I think, yeah, I agree 10,000%. It's just, and especially to your point, because like I said, I'm dealing with this on a few things right now, and it's some people I've hired were referrals, and some are, they're handling it the right way, some aren't. And again,
Right.
and now, they don't know this yet, but they got one job out of it. They're not going to be getting any more. And I hate that for them, but it's like how you, and then there's another one. I'm like, wow. And to your point, sometimes it's money aside. I want this done. I want it done right. And sometimes
Correct.
that's what, and that's what I'm saying. These people don't know any of this, but this is what customers are thinking about, referral partners are thinking about, right? Because in my network here, where, I'm located in South Carolina, there's a lot of like, we all refer, a lot of people to each other, and we're all asking,
Yes.
hey, I'm about to hire these people, yay or nay? And people will be like, no. And it's like, so you have to keep that top of mind. Make sure you're taking care of them and their clients. And like I said, at the end of the day, if you just try to do good work, it normally spider webs out, to your point,
Yep.
over time. And will take, this, and again, none of this happens in 2 days, but the compound effect over time will kind of spread and scatter.
Yeah. Yep.
Uh,
Discipline. You just got to
yeah.
keep doing it. Keep doing the right things. Put the customer first, and you're gonna see success.
Yeah. What, to change gears a little bit, what on the rebuild reconstruction, do all of your franchisees do that? Is it how do y'all handle the, because some restoration companies do it, some don't. Like, how do you guys look at reconstruction stuff?
Great question. I'll go back in time and again refer to the mentality that we had when we started the business. We had come from the construction industry. My partner and I, my main partner and I, Ben Jurgis, had been doing remodels, new builds, like all kinds of construction stuff. We were actually construction guys when we started the restoration business. And we decided very early on that we wanted to focus on mitigation only, and we wanted to master it before we thought about any other verticals or any other service offerings that we had. And that's what we did. We did not start offering reconstruction services until about 4 to 5 years in. We had mastered the mitigation side and the emergency side of the business, started the contents division, mastered that side of it. And then we were kind of more or less forced into reconstruction because you're almost a full service company at that point, and people want a one-stop shop. They want a vendor that can do a contractor that can do all the work for them from start to finish. So we really took that same mentality and implemented it into our franchise network. A handful of our franchisees do reconstruction. They're doing very well with it. And the remainder of them, at some point, if they choose, will start to provide those services. But we're pretty hard set on, you've got to at least be doing emergency for a year or two before you should flip the recon switch on and really understand how to do everything from an emergency standpoint and be able to be sitting on an island and have your business run from day to day. And then it's time to bring that reconstruction revenue, in the door. It's a challenging part of the business, Jamie, as you're well aware. That's why a lot of people don't do it. But you can create significantly and exponentially more revenue through reconstruction. I think you referred to some numbers, with the job size earlier. their revenue generation is significantly higher than the emergency side of the business. Granted, the margins are lower naturally, but it is a necessary evil in the business. Once you're able to scale your business to a certain level, you will lose potential jobs, large jobs with commercial clients if you're unable to do the rebuilds for them. So it's again a necessary evil, something that I would recommend to anybody listening. Take your time with it. Start off a little bit slow. If you do decide that you want to do some reconstruction work, start out with the easy jobs: drywall, paint, carpet, minor LVT flooring, things of that nature. Don't get yourself into bathrooms and kitchens right away, or large commercial losses that are complicated with, public adjusters involved and all kinds of different stuff. I would say ease your way into it when you think you're ready. Get a feel for how the billing works, how you're writing things up in Xactimate. And from that point, try to scale it and move forward with it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree to all that. I mean, I think all of our, well, for sure, all of our clients doing 10 million plus, they all do rebuild recon.
Yeah.
It is you can, to your point though, it's a top line you can explode once you add it.
Correct.
But
Correct.
you have to be extremely careful on the timing, how you introduce it, because there's a lot more rooms for error. The margins are smaller, but we see that, zooming out those, I mean, you tell me, but what I've seen over the years is just they're growing easier, way more consistency. The guys are always busy working on this, that, and the other, and then they just handle the bits as they come in. But getting to that point where it's a machine and it's not easy, right? Yeah, I don't want people can't just all of a sudden, yeah, we do it's a whole different animal. But a lot of our clients too, and we love this too, because I'm like, man, if y'all can handle the recon, y'all are gonna be smoke this MIT stuff, y'all gonna do your eyes closed. Because they come to the construction remodeling world, and then they kind of learn the MIT after the fact. I've seen a lot of guys do that over the years. I mean, it's teach his own, right? I mean, the listeners it's your business, but I don't know. I always love talking about the recon because it's kind of the world I come from, and it's just you hear different perspectives on it.
Absolutely.
I think there's pros and cons both ways. Do you hear? I mean, I've heard over the years. Typically, though, the average job would be 2 to 4 times on average the top line if you add the rebuild recon in. Is that kind of what you've seen over the year?
I mean,
there's a lot of variables.
It's real. There's a lot of variables, but I would say that, we historically have seen revenue from reconstruction be anywhere from 2 times plus from what the emergency work was. And again, there's a lot of variables, so it can multiply exponentially from there, but it's typically double or more.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of what we've seen. And like you said, you never know how that's where that conversation's, gonna go. I mean, because even for some of our people have like a remodeling division, they might be handling, a toilet overflow coming through the ceiling job or whatever. But, what we tell them is like, hey, if you do kitchen remodels, hey, while we're in here, you thinking about remodeling this kitchen? I mean, next thing you know, I mean, there's so many job opportunities. I mean, for the full service construction companies is like, I mean, if you have the right people in the situation, because a lot of homeowners have pending projects, they're thinking about something broken over there. So I mean, there's ways to make it a win-win for everybody and maximize the job amount and help the client get the work done that they were looking to get. As far as like trends or patterns that you've seen this year, is there anything that's stood out to you? I mean, I'll start. So one thing we've seen a lot is a lot of our clients, obviously they use us for a lot of the online stuff, but they have multiple lead generation channels in place, right? Paper lead being one of them, and TPAs. TPAs is a whole can of worms in this industry. Like some people can't even say it without getting mad. Right. Some of our people are like, dude, we do millions a year off TPAs. We're fine with it. But the theme we've heard from a lot of our clients this year is like, they work with TPAs, but the volume and number of claims and jobs they're getting is kind of falling off this year versus last year. I don't know. We've heard that several times. Like, what's your, I mean, do you guys work with TPAs at all? Or have you been
Of
hearing any of
course.
that? Or what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think, it's not 22 and 23 anymore. That's the reality. Like the post-COVID type of money that was moving around and the activity that was there, interest rates were still low. You were seeing a lot of activity. And I know that doesn't necessarily have an impact on, like, if someone has a broken pipe in their house and has water damage, they have insurance, they're going to fix it, right? So I think that from that standpoint, things are still there. But we saw some really, really crazy years in 22 and 20. So when
Yeah.
you look at year over year, I would say that, of course, you're going to see a decrease when you had those type of golden years there. And yes, we've seen data that shows that claim volume is absolutely down. We've seen that with our TPA partners, and we've seen that generally speaking. And that's more of the reason, going back to what I said in the first few minutes here, to keep your foot on the gas, right? This is when people start to get really nervous and, maybe shut down their companies. They want to go work for somebody again. Entrepreneurship is not what I was led to believe it was. And I don't want to deal with these challenges. I just want to make a paycheck and support my family and go home. But yeah, claim volumes down. As a network, we are continuing to see growth. So we're not as impacted as maybe some other people are within the industry. A lot of that having to do with, the small to medium-sized businesses are less impacted by that. It's really the larger guys that really take a big hit because they've got so much fixed costs and so much overhead that they need to maintain a certain revenue level to continue, on with the business. So definitely seeing a turn down in claim volume. I don't believe that it is permanent. I think that things will stabilize. And in my humble opinion, I think this is where things should be, right? Because we did have that craziness through the post-COVID era, and this is kind of the normal in any home service business, not even specifically restoration. This is the normal type of volume that you would see. So you've got to learn how to make it during normal times. You've got to learn how to make it during bad times, and you've got to learn how to make it during the great times to prepare for those other two scenarios. So I know that doesn't directly answer your question, but being prepared is going to put you in a position to win, and you just have to continue to do your best to earn the business and beat out your competitors.
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of the new normal, right? I mean, we can
It
sit
is.
and hope and wish it was the 2022, all over again, but that's not going to do us any good, right? It's like, hey, this is.
It's gone.
I'm a big Ray Dalio fan. He wrote a great business book called Principles.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've read it or not, but it's a fantastic
I haven't
book.
read it, but I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's one that, honestly, I haven't read it this year, but it's one worth rereading every year. But one of his principles is, I mean, look at reality and just deal with it. Like, quit.
Yeah.
We can't sit here and wish it was different, wish there was more claims, this, that, and other. He's like, your job is to look at reality and just figure it out. Like, and I mean, I know it sounds so simple, but obviously there's a lot more context in the book. But it just made me think of that, because I'm like, hey, we can sit here and talk about the past, all day, but it's like, all of us in this industry is like, hey, we got to look at what's going on now and pivot, right? Especially as
Exactly right.
fast as the world is advancing and changing. Like, there's zero time to wish things were like they used to be. We got to move, and we got to move quickly. Um, what? So I did see something that you guys have a training facility. Do you not?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, can you because not all not all companies have a built out training facility like you guys have. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Because I think that's a huge opportunity that a lot of people can think about, like
Yeah.
implement in the future.
Yeah. So we've grown really fast in the last couple of years. We have about 60 some locations right now, 50 some that are opened, I'm sorry. And the balance, in some portion of the onboarding process, right? Whether it be the initial stages, middle stages, or ending stages. The franchise office that we opened here in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, is literally right next door to our original DRYmedic Restoration Services location. So not only do we have a state-of-the-art training center here, we have a crazy amount of technology in there, multiple screens, built out training processes all the way around. But we have a functioning location next door where our franchisees that are in training are going out to real jobs, real calls that are coming in real time, and seeing all the things that they're training on in the field in real time. And we've had some unbelievable feedback when it comes to that, because I think we can all remember a time in school or a time in some type of training or ongoing education that we had, or anything where someone's teaching you something and it kind of makes sense and you think you understand it, but then you see it and you go, everything clicks together, right? So, we're here focusing on our CRM, training on our CRM, telling them the why, follow the system. It's so important. It's something that's said in this office hundreds of times a day. Like, the system is there for a reason. It's replicatable. It's there to create success for you. But once the franchisees go out in the field and it just like clicks. It's like, wow, I really understand that. And an analogy that I've given a bunch of times when, for many reasons, but in a lot of cases when people are asking questions like, why? Like, have you ever watched the movie Karate Kid? And I think we both know the answer to that question in a lot of cases is yes, I've seen the movie Karate Kid, because who hasn't seen the movie, right? And I said, you remember when Daniel-san was waxing the cars and painting the fence, and Mr. Miyagi kept telling him, you got to clean this car today, paint this fence. And he gets all frustrated and walks up to Mr. Miyagi, says, why am I doing this? I didn't come here to be your housekeeper. And Mr. Miyagi says, paint the fence, and throws a punch and he blocks it. And he says, wax the car, and he throws a kick and he blocks it. And it clicks to Daniel-san. He's like, whoa. He's like, now I understand. I created this muscle memory, right? I created this muscle memory by doing this. And while I didn't understand it while I was doing it, look at the benefit that it gave me, because that muscle memory is there. It prepared me for what I was ultimately here to do. And I'll put that back into kind of the training and kind of wrap all that back into a thought process here. But we are so far ahead in our training efforts with our franchisees that there's going to be stuff that they don't understand. When you take that analogy I just gave with the Karate Kid in place, and you understand that you're going to leave here thinking, I don't know that I got that. But in the future, you're going to say, wow, we created that muscle memory. We followed the system. We saw the little couple things in Michigan that took place there. And now I understand why we were trained to do things a specific way. It's so huge and it's so important. So, the training center, again, we have here is unbelievable. Our franchisees across the entire country log into different pods within our training. So an example would be, day 3 of our training might be project manager training, right? And we have franchisees across the country that were here in this facility and are in the real world doing their jobs. And they may have just hired a project manager. That project manager can log in real time to our training facility here. We have cameras that follow the instructors around the room, focus on the franchisees when they're asking questions, crazy microphone systems so you can hear everything in the room, and you're part of that training. So the training is not only the 2 weeks that you spend in Michigan, it's every time we have people training here, things are being recorded. People can log in real time. They can participate in the training. They can ask questions. They can see all the screens, see all the demos going in, and all of those things are recorded. We use a third party called Success Academy that houses hundreds and hundreds of training videos and just every type of tool that you would need to refer back for ongoing training, and even, you know, continuing education. Sometimes we forget things, right? You know, someone may have not done a fire job for a couple of months and they go, you know what, what's the process here? And then go click on a video, watch it, you know, remind yourself of the process. You know, obviously using AI in a lot of cases to narrow things down and help searchability and narrow that response down to what you're looking for specifically. So really do a great job from a training standpoint. And I would, you know, to your listener audience and you know, the audience that you have, ongoing training and consistency in training is very, very important to the success of your business.
Yeah. Yeah, you've probably heard this quote or not, but I talked to, you know, my team a lot about it too. Repetition is the mother of skill, right? I think it's a
That's
Tony
right.
Robbins quote, maybe. But I remember hearing that, and it's so true. Like, we can't, you know, most of us, you know, I don't have any Albert Einstein IQ over here. So sometimes, you know, might not be able to hear or see something one time, right? And that's why we have to embody it, embed it, become it to where it's a
Correct.
habit and a
That's
belief. You know, and
exactly
then
right.
you don't even have to think about it. You just operate from that. And I love how you guys have the operating location next to the facility. Like, that
Yeah.
is because a lot of entrepreneurs, I mean, not everybody, but a lot of the ones I know are like extremely visual visionaries. Like, hey, I want to see this. Like, yeah, this sounds good, but like, all right, we just trained you guys on this. You want to see it in the real world? Hop in the
Right.
truck. Like, if I
That's
was like
exactly
going through
right.
that, I'd be like, let's do it. That's a perfect way um to connect the dots. I agree 10,000%. You know, because I studied construction management in college, and you know, they're sending us through these architectural classes, contract classes. You know, they're like, hey, you know, read this spec book. And we're like, dude, what is a spec book? You know, section 15, 3.8,
Right.
you know, what kind of chemicals are in the paint? We're like, what? Like, what is going
Right.
on here?
Right.
They made us intern and work in the industry though before they'd allow us. My first summer of interning, you know, I helped build a hospital. It connected all the dots because
Exactly.
I was on the job site reading the drawings. I'm like, oh, it all makes sense now. You know what I mean? You can hear about it all day, but until you experience it and see it, I'm like, all right,
Very.
I understand what we're doing here. It was, I
Yeah.
love that they
It
made
really
it.
comes together for sure.
Yeah, I love that you guys do that. I think that's super powerful, especially getting people up to speed um, quickly. So for any of our listeners, if they want to learn more about, you know, if they want to connect with you or DRYmedic and learn more about you guys, what's the easiest way to do that?
Yeah, just go to our franchise website, DRYmedicFranchise.com. There's a contact form on there, and we'll have somebody in touch right away that can walk you through the process, get you our franchise disclosure documents, and help learn a little bit more about the business.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time today. This was fun, Carlos, and to everybody
Thank you so much.
listening, we will see you guys on the next episode. Have a good rest of the day and
Awesome.
week.
Thanks. Good luck to everybody. God bless everybody that's listening and watching. Appreciate your time. And Jamie, thank you for being a great host as always. And best of luck to you in your future and all the great things that you've done.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and we'll maybe we can do this again in the future.
You got it. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye-bye.